So good afternoon, everyone. We'll be dealing with the topic small talks. Just give me a moment. It's well said that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Similarly, when you need to move on and make big conversations, or you need to talk big, where does it all start from? It just all starts from this first step that you take. This first step, we mean to say, the step of making smaller conversations, giving small talks, and then moving forward to build on to your talk is what we would understand by why are the small talks or small conversations important. Usually, small talks they would act like icebreakers. Right? We are all familiar with the word icebreaker, right? What's an icebreaker? Ice means something that's frozen, that's stubborn, that's concrete. Breaker means you break it and you move forward. You try to make your way forward. Right? So small text actually talks that you do or small conversations that you have with people. They clear your way. They act like icebreakers and they clear your way for deep conversations or detailed conversations. In business, nobody is going to start doing business with you the moment you are in the market. All right, the moment you land in the market and you have oh my god, you have got so much of business, it never happens that way. What happens is it is small baby steps that a person takes towards his or her business. Small baby steps that a person takes towards his or her business is what is going to help that particular person in establishing the business. That is what going to help that particular person in establishing the business. So when we say baby steps, the same rule applies. You cannot start running and walking the way the day you are born. Right? It all begins with small steps, small tiny steps that person takes. It all starts there. So similarly, in developing conversations with people, right? When you develop conversations with people, it's the same rule that applies here. You cannot just start talking to people, okay? And it does not even happen overnight as well. That you meet somebody and you start talking and you become the best of friends. It takes a lot of time, a lot of smaller talks, small conversations, and then gradually it builds up. Small conversations and then gradually it builds up, and it makes a small building up that goes a long way. Smaller talks tend to give or lay the foundation for greater and stronger professional relationships, right? uh, it all begins with an exchange of hi, hello, how are you, who are I, who am I, who are you, and all that greetings, exchanging of pleasantries, and then it moves forward to become stronger relationships, be it personal or professional. Usually, uh, people who excel at small talks are the one whose success rates are more. Why? Because such people who are good at making smaller talks or small conversations with strangers, these are the people who make others feel comfortable in an uncomfortable situation. In a situation, imagine yourself in a party, you don't know anyone. What do you do? How much time can you spend on your own? Remember, human beings are all social animals. We have been called social animals. Why? We like to socialize. We like to socialize. Right? So, how much time can you spend on your own? Whether it's a business meeting or whether it's a small party? Not much. To be honest, not much. Right? What do you need to do then? You need people. You need company. need to talk to somebody, but not everybody is good at going and talking to strangers. Some of us are not comfortable. It feels very awkward. We all have gone through the situation, right? It's not a new situation for us. In personal lives as well, first days stepping into the college and trying to make friends, quite awkward. Some of us were very comfortable, very chirpy. Oh, she's got so many friends. Looks as if they are all from the same school or school they have come from. But it's not like that. Some of us, by nature, are chirpy. We like talking to people. We like mixing up. Whereas the others, there are people who would not be talking much, right? That they're not comfortable. It's like an extreme situation where they have to move out of their comfort zone. Fine. But it is a skill that you can acquire. Why do we require this skill? When you do not talk, how will people recognize who is who? How will people know who are you if you don't talk? Right? So these are the people who give you comfort zone, and we may always try to become like them. We must try to excel at the skill in such a case. Right? So there needs to be two basic objectives. Remember, we are never leaving the objective behind. Whether it's your resume, whether you have to look at the presentation, what's the objective? What's the purpose? Right? You have to take two primary objectives in mind. Please mark this as important from the exam point of view. One, take the risk. People who don't take risk do not succeed, is what we know. Right? Similarly, people who do not take the risk to talk cannot succeed. The same rule applies here as well. Right? So take the risk, make the first move, start a conversation. Maybe there would be some other person in that room or in that area or venue who also is facing the same problem, wants to talk but does not know where to start. Right? So take that risk of beginning or initiating the talk. And also, the second objective that you should keep in mind is you should assume the burden. What do I mean by assuming the burden? It's very difficult to start a talk with a stranger. Let's say, the starting of the semester, you have somebody new to teach you a subject. You are very comfortable with other people who have been teaching you, but this new person you are not comfortable. Why? There's a little awkward kind of a situation that arises, and you feel, should I ask, should I not ask, will he or she like me asking the question? What if he or she does not answer properly or gets angry or tells me it's such a simple question, you silly person, why are you asking? We all have gone through these feelings. And there's a burden. What would be the result when I talk? Right? But we as a person, the one who takes up the initiative is the one who has taken the first step. So you need to take up the burden. There would be many people present in the same venue who would be going through the same kind of things. Nobody wants to take that one step forward. Right? Discuss. Try to discuss topics that grab a lot of person's attention, where a lot of people can contribute. Try to help the person manage his or her comfort. Right? It becomes very uncomfortable when you don't talk and you have to be there, and there's nothing to do much. No? So do that. So is a statement true or false? Small talks can be considered as an icebreaker to clear the way for conversations. Excellent and correct answers. The statement is true. They are icebreakers. They clear way for conversations, for deeper conversations. Small talk. It could be a valuable thing. So there's an introduction. Usually, when we are talking from the business or the professional kind of a setup over here, we're talking about a professional or a business kind of a setup over here. In that case, this small talks, they lay foundation for stronger relationships in terms of business. They actually, the small conversations, when they develop over a period of time, they lead to longer and stronger professional relations. And what happens is, remember, this is not only any profession or any workplace situation, but it is, but natural, it comes naturally to human beings, that we would try to make ourselves comfortable. We like to be in a comfort zone. We have a zone that we have decided. Similarly, when we do business or when we are there, we try to make things comfortable around us, right? Similarly, when you talk and you become a little comfortable, you'd also like to do business with same kind of people, people with whom you are comfortable, people whom you can trust, right? People who make you feel uh, at ease is what you do. And that's why the small talks are really important. The reason being, they'll make business relations grow further. Small talk, a valuable thing. Usually when you have a good conversationalist is a one who makes conversations. Please remember the terms. Okay, this is important if you take it from the exam point of view, MCQ exam. It's a good conversationalist would evoke positive feelings, positive environment, and positive vibes. uh, let me share a small incident here, or let me share a small example here. You know, you'd always rely on, when you are in a sort of a trouble or any kind of a problem, there would be always one or two people whose names would flash right in front of your eyes mind. I'm stuck with this, and then there would be your to go person. To go person means, uh, let's say, one of my friends writes very good emails, very good emails. Okay, email writing. I want to write an email, but I'm stuck. How do I write it? Right. So what will happen is, the moment I'm thinking about writing a good email and I'm stuck somewhere, I'll think of that friend. I could take her help. That's the to go person. Similarly, when you are with people in your profession, you'll always have certain people who are the to go people. That means you would always think that that's the first name that comes to your mind when you are in a problem of a certain kind of a problem. Uh, let's say I have a friend who loves stationery and also owns a stationery shop. So whenever I think of some stationery, I would think of that person, right? So I have somebody who's very good with technology. Let's say you tell him that I want to develop an application. He said it's done, dusted. You look to him, right? So good conversationalists are people who try to create a positive aura, and who does not like to be in a positive environment, right? We all like to be safe. We all like to have this feeling of warmth coming. So this is how you develop it. Usually a person's choice is always influenced by the presence and the absence of a rapport that is built. Right? When you develop a conversation, there is a rapport. Let's say, I'll give you examples from the academic field because I'm there and I've lived the years in this field, right? So there are certain people with whom you have built up a rapport over these years of time or over the days, right? what would happen is when we say people's choices, let's say the advertisements that come, uh, the best one which I would say is Amul. All of us, have this. When I say Amul, you could imagine a cow and a small boy and a glass of milk and the tagline coming along. It's playing in your mind. Why? They have built a rapport. They have built a rapport with the people. Let's say, no offense, I do not. I'm not trying to put out my political views, but even though it sounded really silly when the honorable prime minister asked us to ring plates in our balconies or light lamps in our balconies, most of us did it. There we did not think which political party do we support or which leader do we support. We did it. I know it sounded little childish. Maybe we were thinking that, has he given a thought to what he is saying? But people did it. I'm trying to give an example here right now, is trying to show you how a rapport is built. And when you build a rapport with someone, what things can happen. That's one live example which all of us have lived through. Fine. Same is the case in business. People choose to do business with you depending upon the kind of rapport that you built in the initial stages of that professional relationship. The small talks that happen, this are actually a part of rapport building and professional relation building. Why? Because how much care do you take in talking about something else? How much care do you take making other people comfortable is what people would think. When we talk pleasantly, it creates an aura around us and it helps to strengthen and garner business relationships. Moreover, nowadays, if you take the last few years or the last decade, people have become more and more materialistic. We have become the generation of use and throw. We don't mend things. If something is broken, you just discard it. You buy something new. Even at times, something which is just, let's say, not everybody does it, but a general trend that is there, that let's say I bought a mobile phone in January and then something I missed. My phone does not have a few features. Let's say after 7 8 months, a new phone releases. That phone becomes old. Something which is bought 6 months back becomes old, right? Quite mechanic. You wake up, you have your breakfast, you go to work, you come back, you sleep, right? But when you make the small conversations, it actually gives a humanistic touch. Remember, from the very beginning of this syllabus in unit 1, we have been talking that human beings cannot not communicate. Okay, when if you don't speak a word, you are still communicating, right? Body language, the emotions, the faces that you make, you're communicating. And that's why the small touch, sorry, the small talks gives a humanistic touch. It makes you feel alive. I know some of us are quite into electronics and gadgets, but how much time can you spend with it? Let's say it's our dream. People should not disturb us. I'm going to binge watch our my Netflix series. Please don't do that. You do try one day. You can watch it to a certain extent. You can be with technology for a certain extent, and then what will happen is you will crave for human existence right now that we are craving. You don't meet people. You when you look back and see the times when there was complete lockdown and people stopping you from going into the street, and you were craving, please one day, what reason should I tell the person that I want to go? That's actually human nature. You need human beings. You need a humanistic touch, and the small talks, they provide such kind of an humanistic touch when you are dealing in business. So, is the statement true or false? People choices do not depend on the rapport that is built by small talks. Absolutely correct answer. It's false. Repo building is what will build up a person's choices, and that's how things work, right? Next, harvest big gains with small talks. Remember, whatever you sow, that is what you reap. Right? There's been a saying, whatever you sow, you reap. Right. So this kind of small buildings are the seeds that you are sowing for the future. They actually create a bridge between two individuals, two organizations as well. Usually, when you want to do small talks, you should try to avoid making the small talk a yes and no question answer kind of a thing. Avoid making your small talk a yes and no question answer kind of a thing, because that's just a question answer. Yes, no, it gets over within fractions of seconds. You are supposed to actually try and build a conversation and not a question answer session, right? So try talking where the person does not have scope of giving only a yes or a no answer. You have to speak. You have to say a few sentences. Right? It actually small talks. Remember, every meeting does not start on its own. Meetings just don't start. What happens is, we begin with smaller talks. How are you? How was the day? What kind of business do you do? And then the meeting formally starts. So basically, the small talks that happen in the beginning of each and every kind of a meeting would set the tone for discussion. This is where you have to be a little careful. Small talks that act as icebreakers. These are the three things that happens over here. First, it builds rapport. Right? We have been talking about it that small talks lead to rapport building. Right? They build up, or they give you a strong foundation for talking further, taking things to the next level. Let's say, why do teachers call your parents for a parents meet? Teachers call your parents for a parents meet to try and create a bridge. Rapport building happens there. The teacher tries to connect, become a connection between you and your parents. Right? Why is it necessary? Because they need to discuss things. You don't discuss everything with a stranger. You discuss with somebody who builds a rapport with you. Right? You do that in that manner only. Now, when you build a rapport, it also brings and creates cohesive teams. How do you work in a team where you are not comfortable? Right? You have to generate a comfort level. And when you generate a comfort level, right, when you use it as an icebreaker, what so happens is that you start working better with the team, which in turn results into increase in the chances of success, which increase the chances of success. Usually, when you are making a small talk, it's not a small thing. Why? Small talks are not small things because they're going to help you take the next step. Small talks are the first step that you take and then you build. If the first step is strong, then climbing up would be easier. It is actually a valuable personal as well as a professional thread that connects people. Talking, right? The first thing that you need to learn is to appreciate the small talk. Even if somebody is blabbering, appreciate the fact. You need to appreciate the fact that he or she is trying to make a conversation. And then comes the second step, which is you have to acquire the skill. How to talk, what kind of things we can talk about, how can we gain people's interest, etc. So, uh, can small talks act as icebreakers that can lead to creating cohesive teams? Excellent. The answer is correct. Right? Well managed, well integrated, working together. That's called a cohesive team. So, talk to strangers. How can you do, or how can you break the ice? To expand your professional as well as personal circle, one must start engaging in talking to strangers as well as acquaintances. Now, who are acquaintances? Acquaintances are people whom we know. Let's say your class is class EC2. You might have quite a good number of people whom you know in class EC1 or class PC1, right? They're not you cannot consider them your friends. You know them, or you can consider them as your acquaintances. You just know the person, right? Usually, these are the people who bring a new dimension and a new perspective to your life. They add their own insights. They give you their own insights. Now, these are the people who have the potential to become your good friends. They can also become your long term clients, your valued associates and partners, and they can also help you bridge new experiences, right? So, that is why the first step of developing a conversation would be start talking to strangers. Strangers, I mean to say, there would be certain people in the class you are not aware. Okay, he belongs to our class. I just saw him or her. Right, like that. Don't pick up any other stranger. I'm trying to talk in a way a stranger in the meeting. Okay. Silence is impolite. We have all heard that silence is golden, but not in this modern competitive era. When you are talking, your personality is highlighted. Let's say there are two engineers who are working in a who are in the workplace. One of them is quite a good conversationalist. Talks, tries to build a conversation, and is very good at work. And there is somebody else who is also very good at work, does excels in his skills as an engineer, but does not talk much. What will happen is the authorities or other people are going to notice this person who's talking, unlike the other person who does not talk. They'll keep this person in mind as a reference. He talks good. Highlights, right? Your skills are highlighted. So, talking, though all of us do not have the skill, I understand, but it can always be acquired with hard work and practice. Try making efforts of making small conversations within your group of familiar people, then you can expand slowly. Do not wait to introduce get yourself introduced. And we're not living in the era of kings and queens where the king is introduced by a secondary person. We are living in a democratic era. where you have the right to do things, right? So don't wait for the host of the meeting to formally introduce you, and you wait till the time they introduce yourself. Take the first step. That's what I'm saying. This era, people are expected to mingle on their own. Now you talk, you get to know each other, exchange phone numbers, exchange business cards, etc. It is very, very important to take the initiative for self introduction and getting acquainted with people, being familiar with people. Extend a hand for extend your hand for handshake and make eye contact and smile. That's the trick to start a conversation. You do a nice handshake, you smile, you glow. That happens with that facial expressions that you give. Try to involve people in talks. Try to develop a conversation by picking up topics that can involve many people, like, let's say, uh, current affairs, sports, new innovations in your field, something nice that you have read, etc. Try to include people whom you find approachable and who are hesitating to join. There will be people who hesitate, they don't talk. You take the step and you do it. Is the statement true or false? One must wait for the host to properly introduce him or her. Should you wait for the host to introduce you? Excellent, quick and excellent. No, you should not wait for the host to introduce you. Right? You're absolutely correct with the statement. So, what are the some small tips for some? What are some of the tips for small talks? First, take the risk and initiate the talk. Smile, as it gives a positive aura and warmth. Please remember, as a part of etiquettes, greetings are equally important. Never ever forget to not greet the people. Talk on topics that would interest people at large. Don't go deep into it. Let's say I want to talk about artificial intelligence. I should not be going into the details. I have to talk it on a larger scale where more people can be included. Slowly dive into specific topic as the conversation grows. Just don't directly go into the details. See how the interest of the group is. Small conversation leads to greater benefits when they are handled properly. When you do it well, it may lead to longer term professional relationships, longer term workplace relationships, etc. Be sure to make proper eye contact. Remember, as I said, unit number one is never going to leave your back. Everywhere, whatever you do, it's going to be there. It's going to be omnipresent, right? Eye contact shows your confidence. So make proper and confident eye contact. Skills for better conversations can be acquired through practice and practice only. No amount of theory can help you excel at such things. You need to practice it to excel at it. Right? So one should practice it amongst first acquainted and known people, and slowly and gradually take baby steps towards talking to strangers and unknown people. And surely you will be excelling it with the amount of practice that you. So with this, this topic comes to an end. Do we have any question answers or any queries? No, it's all clear. Great. Then we may move on to our quiz. Just give me a moment. I'll paste the link of the quiz in the chat box. There you go. This is the link for today's quiz. You may start attempting your quiz now. Good work. I have seen everybody has completed the quiz. Now let's take the attendance. Number 2, 5, 8, 9, 10, 12, 16, 17, 19, 24, 25, 26, 29, 31, 34, 35, 38, 44, 46, 47, 49, 50, 51, 53, 54, 56, 8, 65, 67, 68, 69, 72, 73, 82, 85, 89, 91, 96, 100, 101, 102, 103, 106, 108, 117, 118, 119, 120, 121, 125, 126, 131, 134, 144. I'll speak out the absent numbers in case you have missed it. We've got enrollment number 16. I think he was there. 19, then 35 is there, 38 is also there, 54, 72, 134, and 144. I hope you all have received the link for yes, Manthan, I have marked to present. I hope you have received the link for uploading your Coursera certificates and resume and cover letter. Kindly do the same by the end of this week. Kindly complete the same by the end of this week. Right? We call it a day over here. Thank you, class. Have a nice day. Thank you.